I would have to say that I like Newt also. I think Newt is, as I said, he's not ultra conservative. He's not liberal. I would consider him a moderate. And I would also consider him the guy that holds up as his #1 motto, what is going to be the best thing for America? And foreign policy, economically, socially, domestically. I think he's a candidate that we need. Now, is he going to get the nomination? That's the question.
At one point it looked like that he would, but now...
Until Perry and Romney and Bachmann and Santorum and Paul, all 5 ganged up on him to try to destroy him. But to me, and this is what I don't like about all the politics, if you're a Republican, you should be supporting the Republican. Okay? Even if you don't get the nomination, even if you are competing with them, negative ad campaigning to me should not be allowed in politics. Because it doesn't focus on the issues, which is what we need to hear about. The issue. I don't care if you had 5 wives.
I think political campaigning should be about what I am going to do and what I want to do.
Or my idea of what I'd like to do to transform America to better.
It should not be about what you have done and what you are going to do. This is I think we talked in the last video too about this. The thing is that when you talk in your personal discussions at your work, at your family, in neighborhood, wherever, friends, everyone says, oh, I hate negative ads, they should be banned and this and that and blah blah, and then you see that people get so influenced by negative ads. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, if you hate negative ads, then just don't pay attention to them.
Yeah,
and they will stop.
I would agree, but I think the problem is because there's so much money in politics. And whether you want the negative ad campaign or not, because these candidates have the money to purchase this on TVs. And if you've ever been in one of the states that's a primary, it's like every 5 minutes there's an ad. Just hammering and hammering. And I think even because of that, subconsciously, whether you want to or not, you acknowledge it. You may not like it, you may not agree with it, but it wears on you. It's just like when once they finally start the drama and whoever gets the primary, you're going to see that candidate all the time. And you're going to like, I'm so sick of this. I'm just waiting for this to be over with. It's kind of like Christmas. Everybody talks about Christmas all the time. And you're like, oh, can it be over? Can it be over? And then you're like, finally it's over. And then you're like, what about New Year's? Oh, really? So you got to wind back up again. And that's the same way it is with the negative ad campaigns and the primaries in general. Whether we want it or not, it's a part of politics. I don't like it. You don't like it. The majority of people don't like it. But at the same time, it's still part of it. It's a variable in the equation.
In 2008, Virginia, after a very long time, became a battleground state.
Yeah.
And we, after a long time, experienced that battleground status. And I remember there was a time when everyone was getting so annoyed by political ads that they were like, oh my God, when is going to get over?
Yeah. Because not only are the ads, they're calling you on the phone. They're robocalling you every evening, and you're like,
in your mail, in your
email, phone,
fax machine,
all over your voicemail. You're just like, leave me alone. And I think it's going to be a battleground state again.
It's going to be.
Because when you have the Republicans taking over both houses and the gubernatorialship, I mean, hey, this is a key state. There hasn't been a Democrat who's won the presidency without taking Virginia.
Plus there's Senate race too, so
yeah,
so it's going to be a battleground state.
Yeah, it's going to be a real big battleground state. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But I'm just really saddened though, because I think that Newt is the best candidate that's in the current field of Republicans right now. I think he really is, hands down. And I think he would also garner. And I think the Democrats are scared of him. Frankly, I really do. They keep talking, well, we want Romney, we want Romney. They want Romney because they don't want Newt. That's too much of a contrast. And I think Newt also plays into the anger and disgruntledness that people are feeling in government on both sides of the political aisle. Democrat, Republican, and more so to the independent, who is basically the swing vote in the whole race. And I think that's what Democrats are more afraid of. If he gets the nomination, he's going to get those votes.
no party can win without the independent votes.
Right.
So Gingrich and Ron Paul, I think, have a good potential to attract independent votes and even some of the Democratic votes.
I would agree. I think Paul would have a harder time though, because the longer he stays, we've seen it. If you're on top in the Republican race, as is getting the most Gallup poll votes, you are a target.
Oh,
and unfortunately, I think his writings, whether they were his or someone he knew, his name is on the newsletter head, therefore it's him. And I agree that it's probably misinterpreted and taken completely out of context. Unfortunately, character assassination is an accusation. Facts are irrelevant. We've seen it with Herman Cain. We saw it with Newt Gingrich. Now, and the thing about Newt, there are no surprises. Everybody already knows his business.
Uh-huh.
So you wonder, why is this negative ad campaign affecting him so negatively?
I don't know. I mean, I don't.
Unless they're taking things out of context again and just running them together.
Unless people have memory loss.
Of course. Well, most people have memory loss when it comes to politics. They have short-term memory.
Yeah. And people. Another thing is that Bill Clinton said that this once in a speech, and he said a lot of people have comprehension issues.
Yeah.
Comprehension issues. They cannot put all the dots together to make a comprehensive picture.
You're right.
So if they are projected to certain dots, they will be just focused on those dots instead of the whole picture.
Which would explain why negative ad campaigning is so successful.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've given me a dot here, a dot here, a dot here. Even though I see the candidate saying one thing, all I can remember are the dots. And I can't connect them all, but they don't all sound good. So you can't be good. That would make sense. I mean, that's a great analysis there. I hadn't quite looked at it like that, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So
makes a lot of sense.
This is a big problem with the current situation, and it doesn't matter it's a Republican Party or Democratic Party, whoever starts to lead the race. The whole machinery just of this negative campaigning on internet and TV just starts. Even in 2008 we saw all those negative campaigning against Obama. As soon as he rose to the #1 position,
well,
he had all the problems in the world.
But you know what? He was coddled by the media. They protected him. They never showed him chain smoking. I mean, that's not a positive image of a president when you're supposed to be protecting health and vitality and being, a controlled individual. They never showed that. And he very much was a smoker, which is a negative image, an American image, especially when you have the health person, Secretary of Health, promoting non-smoking in any government institution. Hillary banned smoking in the White House. Not saying that I'm against smokers, because I'm not. This is America. You have the right to smoke if you want. But I'm saying one of the ways they chose not to depict him in an accurate light, they never even showed him in the audience of Reverend Wright's church. Why? Because they knew if you actually put his face in that audience, all of a sudden these things must be true, that he doesn't love America, he hates America, and goddamn America. Per Reverend Wright, his pastor of 20 years, who married him, also mentor, wrote the foreword to his first book, a man whom he cherishes as one of his most closest individuals to provide wisdom and knowledge for him. And I'm saying that. I'm not saying, trying to rehash it. What I'm trying to say to you is how the media, even though the facts were there, they distanced Obama. You could never place them together, ever. You heard about it, but you never could see them together.
I think there are two things in it. One is that, which I think is a huge problem in American politics, which is that even before the race starts, media chooses the favorites.
Absolutely.
And they start telling you, okay,
who to vote for.
Who to vote for, and they would just totally block out the other people that they don't like. So this happens every time, and this happened in the favor of Obama too.
Well, yeah, I mean, he pretty much squashed Edwards, who probably was the better candidate of all the ones who were running at the time.
Edwards has had this, similar problem that Gingrich is having now. He messed up in personal life.
Yeah, but at that time he hadn't messed up. He had, but it hadn't come to light. You know what I'm saying? So they picked Obama as the front runner over Hillary, Edwards. Who else was a probably good candidate?
Obama and Hillary were front. First Hillary was front runner, and then when Obama won Iowa, then Obama became the first runner.
But Edwards was like still a contender.
Edwards was number 2 in Iowa. He almost won.
That's what I'm saying. He was still a contender, but they picked Obama.
Obama and Hillary.
Right, to be the representation of the Democratic Party. And then Hillary got the phone call from Pelosi, says, back off. This is our guy. This is the guy we want. So she did. And I actually feel like that she would have been a better president than actually he would. And I'm not even a Hillary Clinton fan, but I think she would have been a better president.
But she had lost the race. So by the time Nancy Pelosi...
She didn't have a choice. They called, I mean, she could have pulled off, I mean, the Clinton machine is much bigger than the Barack Obama machine was at that time. They were well trenched. They had lots, deep pockets. Every media outlet loved them. For whatever reason, they chose him and called her off. Because she could have done some negative ad campaigns. She could have blown up the whole thing in Chicago where the land deal with the mob, all the things that happened with Obama, the Reverend Wright story, more of Obama's childhood. She could have played the Muslim card. I mean, she had a whole hand, a whole deck that she could have thrown out. For whatever reason, they called her off. And she could have destroyed him. And there's no question about it. If the Clintons wanted to destroy him, they could have. And Bill almost went there, but they called him off.
Well, they played almost all of these cards. They didn't work in long run.
They didn't play them.
They were in discussion almost because I being a Democrat, I was continuously following.
But let me tell you, even in the black community, they could have got him. They could have took him because the one thing I can tell you about black Americans, if you're not black enough, you aren't black. Ask Tiger Woods about that. Okay, the only reason Obama's black enough is because they deemed him black enough. That's the only reason. Because he didn't grow up as a black American with the black American experience. He grew up in Indonesia, he grew up in Hawaii, went to private schools, Rhodes Scholar, came to Chicago to get some black America. He didn't have the black American experience, nor is he the black American dream. Okay, so that's why I'm telling you, they called him up because even Jesse Jackson, who you know thinks he is the black leader of America, God help us, because he's really not mine, but there are people who believe in him. He even made a nasty comment that was caught on tape. Right. So that's why I'm telling you, the only reason he got that nomination is because they called off the old guard and they called off the Clintons.
This was a point of discussion too. I remember having the discussion with a lot of African Americans saying that he's half white.
Well, but everybody in black America has got white in them, though, so that's not an issue. That wasn't the issue. It's culture. It wasn't a question of his race. It's a question of culture. Can you relate to me as a black American? Which he can't. And you can see it in his presidency. He's done nothing in the black community. He's completely ostracized himself from the black community. He doesn't even vacation in the black area. Martha's Vineyard, Hawaii. Has he even been to it? Oh, he went to Detroit, right, when he first came out with his economic plan. That's the only time. Oh, but he does go to Chicago too every once in a while. And the other time, yeah, he lives on the north side. Lakeshore Drive. There are no black people on that road at all. I mean, if you know anything about the South, it's separated by railroad tracks.
Wealthy blacks live over there. There are very few.
Yeah. Oprah Winfrey? Okay. Trust me, it didn't work that way. My family is from Chicago. The blacks live on the south side, the whites live on the north side. The blacks who have achieved some success either live in the suburbs or they live on Lakeshore Drive. Okay, so trust me, that didn't do it either. But it was just because, for whatever reason, they chose that. And I'm not mad at that, I'm not angry at that. I think that was great for him and his success. But the reality is, I personally thought that Hillary Clinton would have been a better president, period.
But
the media picked him. They picked him.
At one point, that was also, the culture was also a point of issue, I remember, and it became a big issue. And there were things in discussion like Obama can't jump and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually went on video and showed that he can jump.